into the first game. It's Omega Zero versus Aaron, Mage versus Mage. Oh, baby, the Mage off. Well, off a series, in fact. This is a long day. It's definitely not the first game of the day.
I'm so confused by the Geese comments, but looks, for all the world, like Aaron's playing Freeze Mage, but he might not be, because Antonidas turns up in other decks now as well.
Yeah, and you can say that about Omega Zero as well, to be honest.
I mean, they're just playing Mage, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing like Pain, which is a good indicator that Aaron's playing something Freezy-ish.
Yeah, but then you get these people that like to throw cards back in a deck just to try and make it a little bit hipster. That's how I feel that Mage is at the moment. We're going into like a coffee shop and ordering like a Frappuccino latte, Mongol latte, moo blah.
Wow.
And that's where Mage is.
Let's steal your line. Did you know?
Yeah.
Aaron's favourite place is the aquarium.
Right.
He likes it there because it's peaceful and it's quiet. There's not much peace and quiet in Singapore.
Ah.
And apparently there's no Murlocs there. That's actually something he says on his form.
Yep.
There were no Murlocs in the aquarium, and that's why he likes it.
Yeah, I can understand that. The Murlocs are very scary. Make a very scary noise as well.
Do they? How does it go?
I'm not going to do it. I almost did it as well.
Damn! We'll get him later, guys, as we just wait for these openers. Aaron, another indicator that he's playing Freeze is that he kept the Acolyte of Pain in the opener, which means that he wants that card draw. If he wasn't playing necessarily a Freeze Mage, he would go looking for Mana Worms and stuff like that. Yeah. So an indication there of what's going on. And because he didn't play it, China were like, well, what didn't he play on turn 1 that he kept in his opening hand? Might be an Acolyte of Pain.
Incredible discovery.
He didn't even play on turn 2, so it's not Arcanologist, sorry, just keep talking over you.
No, absolutely fine. I kind of interrupted you there, good sir.
Okay, well, you proceed.
Thank you
young
very
man.
much. Well, the interesting thing is we're getting two kind of hybrids evolve at the moment. We've got the Freeze Mage, which is then getting elements of the Discover Mage. It's taking some of the Medivh from it. We did see Mana Worm sometimes put into Freeze Mage, but I think now that's been removed once again. On the other side, we're seeing Secret Mage being combined with Discover Mage. And we're seeing the Crystal Runner come into play.
And there's a Finance Portal and a Medivh.
Yeah. So this is the
deck.
This is where we are with Mage. I think it was George C's Mage list he posted yesterday on social media, which he got legend with, was Freeze Mage, but it had Medivh in, it had Pyroblast in, it didn't run any Mana Worms, but it just had those elements of a little bit of difference.
What you're trying to say is we've just run out of names for different Mage decks.
I mean, it was bad enough that we still didn't know whether to call it Burn Mage or Discover Mage.
Now it's Magey Mage, slightly Magey Mage, a bit less freezy, a bit more sort of chilly.
It's the same with it's the sort of chile. It's the same with it's the same with Paladin, really, isn't it? Like we just
well, at least Paladin you do it in terms of aggressiveness.
Yeah.
You just go, it's very aggressive or it's not, and then everyone knows what you mean. But with Mage, it's like warm, cold.
Mostly cold.
Well, I don't know if they burn you in the face.
True.
It's not that cold. It's like melt before it.
So Burgly Bully.
Oh, there's a game going on.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, Hearthstone's broken out in this channel.
And both Alex Straza's being drawn. Of course, very important Alex Straza in this matchup. Not only offensively, but sometimes defensively. It can be very handy.
Right. Just look at the secrets available to both sides, and they're kind of garbage, really. You don't really want to take time to play counter. I guess you do if you're China because they've got the board, so protecting with a counter spell is pretty good. Singapore, they kept that Acolyte of Pain. I don't like that as much now, the way this is turning out. They needed something down there, not these cards. They've got a load of cards. What can they do with them?
Just give coins to your opponent. And that's what's happening at the moment. Doing what they can to try and regain this board as best as possible. But as you said, that counterspell might be handy. And look, there we go. Okay, so Kirin Tormage. This is...
Why not?
Yeah. So this is the secret hybrid that we've seen. It was in the HGT deck list that I was going through. We definitely was seeing this develop where people were putting Crystal Runners and Kirin Tormage in Discover Mage, essentially.
Right. And Crystal Runner is just such a ridiculous card. I mean, everybody plays Thing from Below, and it's basically the same card, give or take. It's just in a different class, which obviously makes a big difference to cards, but I think people have started to realise, hang on, a 5/5 for 4 is good enough. You don't need it to be 5/5 for 0. That's just a nice after bonus.
And I think it was Dog, actually, as in the dog from China, who's playing in HGT.
Dog.
Yeah, Dog. He publicised his list from HCT, of course, because they were all publicised, and it was pretty much like this. It had the Secrets, had the Crystal Runners, had the Kirin Tor Mages, but it still had that same late-game variant that we see in Discover Mage as well. So that makes sense that the China team is also playing it.
It really does. I noticed that a lot of the China decks did seem to be fairly similar. They had different lineups, but when they chose the same deck, they seemed to be the same build.
And all these coins now for China, and if there is an Antonidas in the deck, then they'll be very happy about that.
I think you do put Antonidas if you're going to play Burgly Bully. Not necessarily always. Yeah. You're going to use them all up, though, and just make more stuff happen. Alex Straza on turn 6 just seems powerful.
Well, this is the thing. What response have we got now from Aaron?
Bottom right, buddy.
Yeah, he can Flame Strike, and then you're still taking 8 next turn from board. Not a very comfortable position to be in.
Off to the aquarium, I think, to be honest.
Maybe just to try and relax and calm down. This is a game that can sometimes be quite a grind, but this is going very quickly.
It is. It's just, I was expecting this to go some time when we saw it as Mage versus Mage, but actually it's been pretty one-sided. Even this late-game Mana Worm is going to be irritating for Singapore to deal with.
So I wonder if it was difficult for Singapore to mulligan in 4, if they were thinking it was a deck that was more late-game orientated, perhaps, rather than the slightly aggressive build that we're seeing from Omega Zero.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to play the mirror blindfold at the moment, because it's just, like we've beaten to death, really. It's just very difficult to know exactly what's going on. You've got to play as if your opponent has 40 cards in their deck right now.
Which isn't fun. If an opponent can have 40 decks in there... 40 decks? Oh my god!
We've cracked it!
Confirmed, it's not 18 anymore. We've got 40. Never have to delete a deck all year.
Well, you say that. Somebody would just be awkward and want 41.
So, Firelands Portal onto Alex Straza can keep you alive from what you can see.
But do you want to stay alive in this position?
Yeah, well,
I guess
otherwise,
you do. You're in a big tournament.
Ice Block, Medivh's Valet and Ping, probably the best option here. You definitely survive because of the Ice Block, and you can clear Alex Straza at the same time. You then could potentially play a follow-up of an Alex Straza defensively, put yourself up to 15.
Yeah, you've got to hope your opponent hasn't got the hand we can see, which is kill you. But yeah, in the real world, you've just got to try and survive. Of course you have. Because with all this value, if they can survive one or more two more turns, they'll be fine. And remember, the opening mulligan, they kept the Acolyte of Pain, that's where all this value came from, but it was very slow because of it. And they're getting out-tempoed in part because they decided to play a value game, which meant they guessed wrong, basically. They went into the wrong deck.
And I wonder how much these players would have studied the HCT decks and the meta in general, because giving all those coins away from Aaron, I think he would have been comfortable if this was Dog's deck from HCT. There is no Antonidas in it.
Right.
He'd been saying, all right, I'll give you the coins because it's not really going to make too much of a difference. Yeah, you can cast a few more spells, but I need to give you coins to just survive on board anyway. But I'd imagine that they will be very well practiced, or they would have researched into these
Singapore in particular. We say this about every team, but Singapore in particular, this is a big tournament for them. They're another the APAC side trying to show how good they are. A lot of us commentators know how good they are because we've seen them around various events, but they're still trying to prove it, and I think they're putting a lot of time into this particular event. Whereas some of the bigger teams, they don't need to do that prep because they just turn up and win because they are so good anyway.
Yeah, we've seen that from the likes of Netherlands, Ukraine, absolutely dominant sides. I mean, that's not to say they don't do prep.
And China, to some degree, we saw them turn up 1 or 2 weeks a little bit unprepared.
Oh, yeah.
And take a hit or two. And then they've turned up in future weeks going, it's just still good. So, I mean, you can stay alive on board.
Can stay alive on board.
So
I think you defensively, Alex Straza, I think that's your best option here.
I'm not sure. Like, if you fireball Ping, you're dead to a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But if nothing kills you, then next turn you defensively Alex Straza, and actually you've got some stuff going on. Whereas if you do it now, you're getting hit instantly for 9. You're down to 6 before you start. So if they've got that stuff that takes 2 away.
Do you think it's a better risk to take?
I feel that if you get away with it, which is very rare, then you can win the game this way. Whereas the other way, I think that you just take it straight in the face again the next turn anyway. I think this was the right way to do it. And they know full well that they're dead to any number of magey things here.
Yep, and Fireball will finish it off. China starting strong at the moment. They're 2-0 in the table with a 6-3 round difference. They'll take that up to 7-3 at the moment. And if they do go Rogue versus the Priest. Oh, as you can see the players there, we dive into that one. Quest Rogue, unsurprisingly, as I mentioned earlier, every rogue that has been brought to HCT is a Quest Rogue.
So in the HCT, Jason Zhou is not playing, he is playing Boar, which is about 50% of the Quest Rogues. The big question is, do you play the Boar, have that extra one drop, that extra charge minion in your deck, or do you try and take it out with a little bit like backstabs and swashbucklers and stuff? And he's one of the ones who's chosen in HCT to go with a Boar, I believe.
And it looks like we are going to be witnessing the Horror Priest as well. It's something that does very well against Shaman. We saw it last week being played, and it's something that Sequinox took to Legend, and other people have used his deck to get to Legend as well.
And you went back to the hotel and played it all night and got it to rank 15, I believe.
I did play it, yeah.
Starting at Legend.
Yeah, I don't quite have the skill set, apparently. But it is a fantastic deck. However, is it going to do well against Quest Rogue? My worry is no. Because Quest Rogue is going to have plenty of time to complete its quest.
Right, that makes a lot of sense. And we know how bad it goes if the Quest Rogue does complete its quest. And also we've seen Quest Rogue, against the slower decks, doesn't really have to hurry. You can put 2 or 3 minions down there. It's got loads of value from Fireflies, from Igneous Elementals, from Bilefins. It just draws more and more stuff. So you blow it all at once and it just all comes back.
The saving grace for Sequinox is there are board clears. He's already got Pint-Sized Potion into Shadowword Horror. He's already got the Dragonfire Potion as well. I mean, this is 2 board clears straight out already. Of course, there are tools to find more board clears as well. There's potentially you could get 3 Dragonfire Potions if you would like.
The interesting thing here is Jason Zhou may actually speed up, thinking that this is Silence Priest.
That's true.
Because he's seen the Acolyte Pain and he's put a bit of a wry smile on his face, thinking, well, I'm going to get hit with horrifically big things. But actually, in a minute, he's going to work out what it is, and then he's got wisps, by the way.
He does have wisps. Oh, yeah, I was just going to bring that up. I mean, that's going to be a very quick way to complete the quest. It was something that was kind of brought in for a little bit after Ungoro, and then it kind of faded back out.
Yeah, Dog's
right?
very original version, I think, had wisps, where the idea was just to get stuff.
Is this American Dog?
Okay,
the
real dog. This guy's has got to prove that he's the real dog by winning this weekend, which you can catch live on this channel, by the way.
Yeah, you can. Live from Shanghai.
We'll see if we get a surprise victory over there, or whether it be one of the regular winners.
Stacked lineup, though. I know you mentioned that with Dan earlier. It's a lot of big names over there.
I hate it as a caster when you sit and go, hey, this thing that this same channel is showing next week's got a stacked lineup. But really, it just does.
Yeah, it definitely does. And now it looks like Jason Zhou is going to start the bounce train by actually using Vanish with the prep. And now he can just complete the quest this turn. Well, next turn he can actually play the quest. So next turn it means he can go Wisp into complete quest. That seems pretty good.
It's good. It's like your own preparation in this form of 2 wisps.
And the fact you're doing it with wisps as well means that, yes, okay, Sequinox has those board clears, but how many times can he clear a board before he starts posing a threat of his own?
He needs to do it a lot of times, right? And his deck is insanely slow in Medivh here, who isn't going to be guarding much at all because he's going to get punched in the face by wisps.
Oh, he certainly is.
He should stick to holding parties.
Now, does Jason Zhou coin out patches here? I don't think you need to. It depends how worried he is about Dragonfire Potion.
Yeah, I feel that you just keep putting 3 minions down at a time. And he hasn't got a huge amount of value in the cards that I was talking about earlier, like Igneous Elementals and such like at the moment. And I feel that he doesn't want to be too forward with his aggression here. It doesn't set up lethal. He may coin out the Glacial Shard, though, to stop any card draw. And that sets up lethal as well by putting 20 on the board and keeping the patches in hand. So that's the thing he can do. But again, he probably just doesn't want to put a 4th minion on the board. Yeah. Keeps it to 3. That's the most sensible thing, I feel. Right, Sequinox. Obviously, it can clear one board here. Is he going to go face? Why don't you draw a card if you're going to Dragonfire? It's the same thing, actually. I'm just going crazy, but you draw the card first.
Card either way.
He couldn't think of any card in his whole deck that he'd rather play than Dragonfire, so...
So this deck does run 2 mind controls. That's how greedy it is. And unfortunately, that's not really going to work too well against a board that's constantly flooding 5/5s against you.
Yeah, Patches hasn't got a mind, so it's hard to control him, really. He just hits you in the face.
So there's another clear in the Pint-Sized Potion plus Shadow and Horror. And there's also the Shadow Visions in deck that you could look for another Dragonfire Potion or another Pint-Sized Potion to get another clear. You've got Shadow of Death there as well.
Yeah, and in fairness, Jason hasn't drawn much of that sustain I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So if they do draw the second clear, this might still get a bit interesting. Are you looking forward to this being nerfed, or you'd rather have people do this? Which version do you prefer?
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm looking forward to it either being nerfed or not being nerfed,
right,
because I'm just a little bit worried about how it's going to upset the balance of the meta. At the moment, this is, in my opinion, one of the best metas we've had in Hearthstone.
I agree.
And by changing something so drastically, how is it that going to affect it? Of course, there is probably going to be an expansion near enough when that quest rogue is nerfed or afterwards. So it's going to be completely different anyway.
I think the exciting thing now is that they're willing to try.
Yeah,
I think we've been in metas before where it was like, oh, do we change it, do we not? Oh, what if it goes wrong? Now it's like, we think we should change it, we're going to. And I like the more committed attitude about all that.
Yeah, I like taking action. And there's a second Dragonfire Potion that actually Sequinox has picked up here. So he does have ball clear after ball clear after ball clear, and that's a preparation, which is a bit of a whiff. And that is going to allow Singapore here to start putting something on the board. Medivh goes on the board next turn.
Bit of a whiff. Did you bring your durian plant back with you?
Oh, that apparently does smell.
I thought that was your feet.
No. Although I am wearing slippers today.
Explains all of it.
So you're going to have to Dragonfire Potion here. You won't be able to Medivh because of Jason Joe taking the initiative by just putting as much as he can on the board.
And Sequinox has one more turn. This Dragonfire, he'll face, hope they can't hit you, because he's expecting just to go bounce minion, well, hit you with a charge, bounce, hit you, you die on 10. But actually, he's got a chance here. 10 is the same as 8, by the way, because I'm good at maths. So he does have the option to try and play something onto the board. But, I mean, that backstab's been in hand a heck of a long time. What do they think it is?
Could be anything at this point, really. They probably think...
Well, there's a lot of things it's not.
They probably think it's a prep.
They probably think it's a prep. That's a good point.
I think one of these two you could.
And then the right-hand card, they've got no real clues about. All right, so they're going to go with the Shadow of Death and this very aggressive-looking play. They get the Priest of the Feast, which means if they don't die next turn, they're going to be able to start, like, just getting on with it.
Yeah, just a charge effect needed for Jason Joe. Ah, there it is.
It's always there.
Just as soon as you thought that there was a chance for Sequinox here, Jason Joe finishes it off, and China are going to go 2-0 up.
It's just always there. And Sequinox made a brave play there.
He did make a brave play. So that's where Sequinox was trying to do something as we move on to Game 3. And it's actually not Singapore. Nightwalk's not just playing the whole of it.
Nightwalk's just...
He kind of is.
He's the Murloc killer from last week, remember? So now he's just upgraded from Murlocs and just taking a whole nation.
And so this looks like... So there was one Priest deck that was brought to Shanghai. And that one Priest deck was brought by X-Hope. It's a Lyra combo Priest. It does run things like Binding Heal, so I think we might be looking at that here, Neil.
Yeah, it seems pretty likely. Binding Heal a fairly big giveaway. So how exactly does that pan out?
Okay, well, that changes everything. I'm not sure that the Chemist is actually in that list.
So you have to find out what that's there for now.
Although it might be. I mean, I can't remember every 30 card. I just looked at the significant cards, and I would have thought that would have stood out for me when I was looking at the deck.
It's a pretty kooky card to have in a deck, so
just
I don't think you'd have commissed it very much.
No, definitely would not have commissed it.
All right, meanwhile, in fairness, combo-y Priest decks are pretty good against Jade Druid. because the Druid just can't deal with one gigantic minion.
Yep.
And actually, this board is pretty good against Jade Druid anyway. It's going to start getting the damage through. And Druid does not like chunky minions that heal themselves early in the game.
And of course, if this is X-Hope's combo priest, or at least close to it, you have that one Light Warden in there as well.
Right.
But for the oomph factor of getting it on board and then just having the heal into a massive old minion that is going to smash you down and win the game. And
I'm a massive old minion that's going to smash you down.
yeah. So if China were to win this 3-0, I mean, that would be absolutely phenomenal for them to...
Yeah, it's interesting. They had a lot on during the first phase where a lot of the events they were having in China domestically were clashing with Hearthstone Global Games. They seem to all be a bit tired at times. But since Phase 2 started and they've had like a free run at it, they've just been destroying teams. And even the end of Phase 1, they started coming to their own as well. When, like I say, a lot of their domestic stuff cleared up, which also had a lot on the line for them. So they were like doing double duty. It's no wonder they were a little bit tired at times.
Yeah, a lot of Hearthstone was there to be played, and sometimes it can just... Well, it can be a lot.
A lot of Hearthstone could be a lot of Hearthstone. It really can.
We've seen players kind of blow out a little bit when they have got multiple tournaments, and they're trying to keep a streaming schedule as well.
Yeah.
And you can see the results because of that, to be honest.
Yeah, agree entirely with that. And Nightwalk is one of those popular guys.
Nightwalk, the Murloc killer.
The sequel. As long as he doesn't go to the aquarium, he'll be fine.
Return of the Tar Creeper.
As long as he doesn't go near those vending machines.
Yeah. Well, the crabs aren't going to be useful in this matchup. I don't know if you heard it. Like, earlier I was saying that there are 11 crabs in the 64 decks at HCT. 11 hungry crabs, sorry.
11 hungry crabs.
So that's kind of...
And how many paladin decks? Like 10, isn't there? There's 10 paladin decks.
Yep. And there's only 6 token druids as well, so that means there's more hungry crabs.
A couple of token druid decks thrown in there.
Yeah, they're just token druids. Now,
that's interesting.
Singapore are doing what they can to try and clear this really annoying Tar Creeper, as you said earlier. Big minions, not really what Druid can deal with.
They're not, and the other problem you have with this deck is not just the big minions that you can see, you've got to stop them from becoming big. So injuring things that you can't kill is also important, so that you can just stop the servant from Kalimos from arriving and doing whatever that does in this deck.
Yep, that's slightly different, but makes sense. You were able to get the Radiant Elemental down last turn. It's very fortunate to get that off the top. And well, I mean, the interesting thing now for China is they've got Binding Heal to heal up that Radiant Elemental. Which
the interesting thing is they just played a Servant of Kalimos.
But next turn they've got a Kooky Chemist, which can flip the 2/5 into a 5/2.
Sure.
But yeah, Servant of Kalimos is pretty different. I mean, we've noticed throughout the history of Hearthstone, certainly region-specific metas have been very apparent.
Yeah.
We've noticed different things appear in ladder.
China in particular are sort of the founders of the Tempo Mage of last season, the one that just won with Yogg, the old school Yogg before the nerf. And China just kept saying, this is good, and everyone kept saying, China! And then everybody went, oh, you're right.
Yeah.
We should be playing this deck, it's really good. Which led to the card being nerfed. That's how good that deck was. And it was all China, because everybody just laughed at it for a long time with Cabalist tomes and stuff.
And so you'll notice now for Singapore, Neil, if they don't try and deal with some of this board, they're just dead.
Yeah, they're going to be in a Singapore position if they don't carry on with this.
Absolutely. And that's just the Jade Spirit, so that is going to be enough. They think they're okay, but actually the Kooky Chemist, of all things, to finish it off, is going to be pushing China towards the last 16, but also pushing Malaysia towards the last 16. Singapore will fall to 3rd place in their group, and they are just going to have to hope that they are one of the 3rd place finishers.
Yeah, and the